I have a dirty little secret I've been hiding from you guys. I think I might have a clamp problem, like a hoarder kind of thing. I have clamps here, and here, and here, but that all ends today, with this space-saving and possibly a bit overcomplicated clamp rack. Today is the day I build all these clamps a forever home and reclaim that much more of my shop for, you know, shop things. This project uses 2 1/4 sheets of 3/4 inch plywood and 8 100-pound full extension drawer slides. But it allows me to stack 56 clamps into just a 2 foot by 3 foot area on my wall that was otherwise wasted space. There are full plans for this project as well as the router table I built a few months ago on buildsomething.com at the link in the description if you want to build this project along with me. But I'm sick of not cutting plywood, so let's go do that. I like to plan my cut list for efficiency, safety, and to leave behind just a couple of useful scraps. I like to plan out the cuts on the sheet, then I arrange the pieces to make as many cuts as possible at a time without moving the fence. This simply means putting as many pieces of the same width on the same sheet as you can. Next, I like to push the components as far into the corner of the sheet as possible, so I can do most of the breakdown at the home center. Handling a 4x8 sheet of plywood, especially in my small garage shop, is not particularly safe, easy, or for that matter, accurate. I also like using as much of the outside corners and edges of the plywood as possible to ensure I'm working from a square and straight reference corner inside, also for minimal waste and optimal accuracy. Be careful though and plan a little bit of wiggle room. The talent running the panel saws varies greatly from store to store. Lastly, I like to plan out the cuts so I don't end up with a bunch of little 2-inch squares of plywood. Plywood's expensive, so I try to get as much out of each sheet as I can, even the scraps. And you can do this just by making sure the pieces are tight together and minimizing the waste and maximizing the size of your scraps. With all the plywood broken down, it was time to work on the clamp racks. The cuts on these will be somewhat custom based on the clamps you're trying to store, but the basic premise of the way I designed this cabinet was to be organized with small clamps on top and big clamps on the bottom. For the F-style clamps, I cut 1/2-inch slots for the bars, and I drilled 1 5/8 inch holes for the handles. For the bar clamps, I drilled 1 5/8 inch holes and then connect them with 1 5/8 inch slots. After that, I rounded over all the edges just to make sure there was nothing for the clamps to get snagged on. Make sure you're checking off your cut lists and marking all of your pieces as you batch out for builds like this. It can save you tons of headaches later. Okay, so that was a bunch of stuff about plywood, and here's something even more exciting. Drilling a bunch of pocket holes. Many people bash the lowly pocket hole, but you can check out my joinery shootout from last year to see pocket holes are no joke. And professional craftsmen all over the world use these in furniture and finishes, and they're absolutely perfect for shop furniture. Fortunately for this project, I was able to upgrade my old K5 system to the Craig Foreman to make easy work out of batching out a bunch of pocket holes. It also aligns with this year's goals of improving shop dust collection. On some furniture, I take the time to plug all the pocket holes, but this is shop furniture, so I just do my best to make sure that it's not on any show surfaces. Okay, so with all the prep work done, it's time to move on to gluing up these drawers. I designed everything about this build to go together smooth and simple as long as you're accurate with the cuts. Each joint is assembled with glue and 1 1/4 inch pocket screws. The only real consideration with assembly is to ensure that everything is as square as you can make it as you go. This can be particularly challenging with the large carcass of this cabinet, but a couple of corner clamps and a little bit of patience makes easy work of this. Finally, the dividers are the only critically accurate part of this assembly. Each of the little cubbies need to be 1 inch wider than the drawers we already built to ensure 1/2 inch clearance for the drawer slides. I carefully marked this out and installed each of the dividers, checking for square and plumb as I go. The dividers are just screwed in case I want to change the configuration sometime down the road. Next up were the vertical drawers for the clamps. I assembled these by laying down the back panel of the drawer and attaching everything to it using glue and 1¼ pocket screws. It's critical to assemble these drawers as square as you can get them to ensure the drawer hardware operates smoothly. Fortunately, the drawer face and back should keep the cabinet mostly square, but it's good to go ahead and check with the square as you go. I also installed these little 4-inch stretchers for the drawer hardware. These serve double duty, keeping the drawers from racking under weight and serving as an attachment point for the drawer slides. Normally at this point, I could keep on trucking on a normal day, but since it was 20 degrees outside, I had to tuck in my sweet prints overnight under a heated blanket to ensure the glue set up properly. Pro tip, in cold weather, try Type-On 3 anytime it's under 45 degrees with a heat source. This will give you the best results for glue joints. You could also try Hide Glue if you're into that kind of thing. With all the glue now cured and the sub-assemblies put together, we're down to installing the drawer slide hardware. These slides are rated to 100 pounds fully extended, which was fine for my clamp stash, but if you have more heavy duty or professional clamps, you may want to invest in 200-pound hardware, but I linked the hardware I used in the description, as well as an option for 200-pound hardware, but the price jump from 100 to 200-pound hardware is a bit steep. Now that everything's assembled, I installed the cabinet to the wall using a large French pleat setup inspired by Tyson Moore's French pleat tool cabinet. Make sure you follow Mr. Magic Mallet himself over there on Instagram. He does some really cool stuff. I did, however, add some extra 3-inch structural screws into the stud through the French cleat after hanging the cabinet, just to lock everything together. This is a pretty big cantilevered load and I don't want this thing falling over. I also spruced it up a little bit by adding some little walnut blocks and also 3 C-clamps to serve some heavy duty and I guess nice hardware. I guess it's also a little bit of extra clamp storage. Finally, it was time to load this thing down with 400 pounds of clamps and hope my restaurant napkin engineering for the wall mounting solution holds up. Whew! Okay, so looks like we're good. Just kidding, this thing's like the Rock of Gibraltar. It's not coming down unless the whole wall comes down with it. I'm so glad to have tackled the shop organization project and checked just one more thing off my to-do list. I've been thinking about this project for a long time and iterating on a bunch of different designs on Instagram. So if you want to catch more behind the scenes actions and kind of see my design process in progress, be sure you follow me there on Instagram. And if you need any help with the plans on buildsomething.com, just drop a comment down below. I usually read all the comments, try to respond to as many as I can, as long as I can keep up. And if you want to help support what I do on here, like these guys from Patreon, and get your free Nightmare Fuel portrait done by me, be sure to check me out on patreon.com as well. Thanks for watching, and remember to keep your tools sharp and keep your mind sharp.